Welcome, everyone, to episode number 58 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today, I welcomed a singer-songwriter from Toronto, Canada. Her name is Meagan De Lima. I've been following Meagan's work for the last couple years on Instagram, and I've been reposting her songs and just kind of showing her some support. And I was happy to get her on the show this week. We talked about her come-up, doing this for the last 10 to 15 years, coming from a musical family, and she's been heavily influenced by a lot of the music her parents listened to, which she talks about throughout the episode and kind of who the different influences were. And then we also talked about the contest she won for Arts Help for their Songs for Social Change. She won that back, I believe, in the winter time or the early springtime, which I thought it was a very cool contest that they ran, highlighting different artists from Canada that were making very impactful music for, society and everything. And she talks about how the song she submitted was self-produced. She wrote it, obviously, the whole thing and everything, and did the music video as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And we kind of just, went into detail about, really as artists, just kind of finding your way around obstacles as a creative, and kind of just, when there's something that doesn't go your way, you just have to find another way, or you have to keep creating around the problems to kind of get to where you're heading. So I thought that was the overall message I took from this. And Meagan said at the end of the episode she has a lot of new music coming out soon. I believe here in a couple weeks she's going to have a new single dropping, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, just check out her music at the end of the episode, just like all the other artists we've had before. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome everyone to episode number 58 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today we have a really incredible singer-songwriter. She's a Toronto native. Meagan De Lima is here. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Anthony?
I'm good, and like I said, I appreciate you, supporting this platform enough to, take some time out to share a little bit of your story today. So we basically have the guests to start out just give a little bit of background about how they got into music, how long you've been doing it, basically the simple information for those that might not be familiar with you and your sound.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm an R&B artist from Toronto, as Anthony said, and music is my full-time, career, my life. Mm-hmm. I got into music actually really young. My parents noticed when I was really young that I loved to sing, and that was kind of like sparked by a lot of music in the family. So both my grandparents were musicians, actually. So my dad's father was a guitarist in Nairobi and in Toronto, and then my other grandfather was a sax player, and he had like his own big band back in the day that used to tour. So that kind of got passed out and throughout the generations, and even some of my uncle has a PhD in music, and he teaches, and everybody in my family either majors in music or visual art. So it's kind of just foreshadowing my life in a certain way. But yeah, when my parents noticed that I could sing when I was a kid and I really enjoyed it, they tried to support that, and I'm really, really grateful for that, because I know sometimes people don't get that support. So yeah, I spent all my time, trying to soak up as much music as possible and be exposed to so many genres as possible, and also just like learn as many tools as I could from the tools I had around me, whether it be like my family or my community. Once the internet started going on a rise, using YouTube videos to teach myself how to play guitar and do stuff like that. And yeah, I'm happy and I'm grateful that I can do this as my livelihood.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So has that been probably, about 10, 15 years now of doing this then for you?
Probably 15 years, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's good to hear, too, that you had kind of a support system around you with your family and everything. They had already been there, kind of done that themselves, and now you're kind of doing your own thing. So that's super awesome. So I'm interested for you, as far as songwriting goes, how does that process begin for you? Is it like you need music first to begin the process, or you're just writing constantly and you just wait for things to come to you? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, so my music process, I don't know if it's common or not, but I know that a lot of vocalists write lyrics first. Mm-hmm. And I actually write lyrics last, just because my process from start to end would be I'd grab my guitar and I'd play a progression, or I'd mess around with like a guitar progression that I like, something that sticks, and I'm just like, ooh, I really like this. And then once I've got that and I've mapped that out probably throughout the whole song, or at least everything but the bridge, I would start humming melodies over and over and over again until something feels like it's meant to be there. And I'll do that just like over and over again. And then lastly, I'll start just like mumbling words, to be honest, of something that feels natural. And then somehow those mumbles turn into actual lyrics because then I put an idea to it and I think about, what I'm trying to say or what this song could be about. What is cool, I think, for me about music, and if I can force myself to sit down for an hour, I can write a song front to back and be done with it. But if I leave it, then it's just kind of like in the archives and it's not finished.
Yeah.
So I write kind of like in one flow. Like I can write it, all the songs that you've heard on Spotify, I probably wrote like in an hour to 2 hours of just sitting down and just like forcing myself, to just finish it. It's just getting to the guitar to do that process is a whole different battle. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I know, like, as a producer, I can kind of relate to that. Like, if I put something off and I'll say, maybe I'll come back to this, like, later and see if I can finish it, it doesn't come out the same way. It's like I kind of just want to get it done in the moment. And then if I want to make minor tweaks later on, then we could do that. But it's like you kind of want to get the basis down right away as quickly as possible because the idea is, like, there. And you just want to get it out, you know what I mean? So I can definitely relate to that in that aspect.
Yeah.
So have you been, like, in the studio a lot recently? Or are you just doing these things at home? Like, how has that been going, especially in the last year, with the lockdowns and everything?
Yeah, so for some of the stuff that I've released in the past, I was able to go into a studio to record it. But right now, everything's been doing virtual, just because of, like, the situation. And my producer actually lives in LA, so we send stuff back and forth to each other, which has worked out okay, but there's something different and there's something more organic when you get like the energy and the simplicity of just like being in the same room is so much nicer, to be honest. So I'm really excited to just like get to do that again. But yeah, everything in the past year that I've released has been virtual, which has been a switch, but I'm adapting and I'm trying to get used to, being my own like engineer on my side too, because that's, its own struggle on its own.
Yeah.
But
so
it's been good.
Have you yourself done any like producing for yourself, or you just kind of just work with other people? Have you ever picked up that skill at all or thought about it?
Yeah, like, so for me, I think it's more of like a confidence thing. Like I can produce for myself. And the funny thing is, like, the song I released in April, You Can, I actually, played all the instruments on and I self-produced it. So that was the first song I've ever done that to. But I just kind of like, I've always been the type of person that likes to surround myself with people I look up to and like to grow from that. So I think that's why I prefer using a producer. But I do always like make the final call, I would say, with my music and, give my input. I don't just like sit back and say like, sprinkle fairy dust on it and see how it goes. I'm pretty opinionated, I would say, and a bit of a control freak. So like I always have a vision, and let that be for my music when I'm doing my songs or my artwork. That always kind of comes. That always comes through. I would say.
I think the good thing is, as an artist, though, like you get to, like you said, you get to oversee the whole thing anyway. So even if you're not the one always doing everything, it really doesn't matter because you have the final say anyway. Like if this is your song, you get to dictate how it goes and how it's going to end up anyway. So I guess it really doesn't matter for everyone that even if they didn't want to do everything, they don't have to. So, but that's the great part about being an artist. So that's awesome. I'm interested for you to see who, when you were growing up, were like your major music influences. Like, who did you listen to a lot? Who are you still listening to today?
Yeah. So honestly, I listened to a lot of what my parents listened to, which, just whatever I was surrounded in the house with, which would be, I would say everything, but specifically like Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind and Fire, Prince, Stevie Wonder. My mom's got some of the Beatles on her side, or my dad listened to like Jeff Beck or Rush or Led Zeppelin. So like there's all this just like mixture of genres, and also just like jazz music, Miles Davis and John Coltrane and things like that, especially coming from like my grandparents who were jazz musicians. So that got passed down, and I was listening to it subconsciously for such a long time. I was really into like 90s R&B music, and I still am like really into 90s R&B music. Like Destiny's Child is like a staple in my phone, and will always be like this special place in my heart that I think got me like really confident and in tune with writing R&B music and trying to write things that are hooky and that move people, and that are just a vibe. And that's honestly what I strive for, is like that type of genre, and that's what I'm going for sure.
Yeah. I can just tell, like, from hearing some of your stuff that you definitely tap into the very soulful side of R&B, like, because I know, like,
Thanks.
nowadays there's modern R&B that has a lot of trap influences, and there's a lot of different styles, especially, like, in Toronto. Like, Toronto might be one of those main cities that did that, where it's like you have Drake and The Weeknd and all these other people that they kind of have combined a lot of styles into something new. I think for you,
Yeah.
it's like you're still doing something new and unique, but it's very much from the roots of R&B, you know what I mean? At least to me, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I feel you've been going for, at least.
Yeah.
But
Thanks, Anthony.
yeah. So out of those artists, or maybe someone else, is there anyone that you'd ever want to do like a song with? Maybe either a writing session or like you'd want to be on a song with them? Like who is the dream collab you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, those are the people I listed are like idols. Like, I don't know if they they collaborate with people anymore. They're like, like the idols and the legends we look up to, and that
Yeah.
just or anybody emulates themselves over. So
Yep.
I would say writing. Probably, I don't know if they do collaborations anymore, but Stevie Wonder would be really incredible to just meet, or
Hmm.
you know, um, just hear some inspiring words of like how he's got there. It's funny. A couple weeks ago, I got a message on my TikTok from a woman that I covered a Stevie Wonder song, and she said, "Somebody sent me your video. I'm Stevie Wonder's goddaughter. I loved her.
That's
I loved
amazing.
this cover." And I was like, "Show this to your godfather, please. Like, I want to meet him." So I don't know. Fingers crossed. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
throwing that out in the universe, and maybe she'll pass the message along. But yeah, that would be really cool. I think a lot of artists, that are in the R&B scene right now, like Snow Allegra, Mahalia, Tom Misch, Georgia Smith, Ari Lennox. There's so many, honestly, that I could list right now.
Hmm.
But all of those artists I would love to collaborate with and like create a song with. I think would be really, really incredible.
Yeah. So, out of Toronto specifically, how has that been kind of just trying to find your own like lane in the city? Because I know, even myself, I know a lot of people from Toronto and they're all very incredible artists and they all do very unique things. So for you, has there ever been a challenge as far as just trying to, I don't know, find your footing, I guess? Or has it just been kind of you have known your path and kind of you just stayed the course?
I think No, I think I would definitely say I've been growing. Like, I haven't. I When I say stay the course, like, I would say my sound has developed into its own at this point, and I
Hmm.
would say I've developed into my own person at this point, and it always wasn't like that. So I think it's taken time for me to do that. But Toronto is such an incredible city right now, where so many artists are ones to watch, and I
Hmm.
think people are looking at Toronto for that reason. So I'm just like blessed to be in a city that's has that intention. It's just, yeah, you have to not compare yourself, and that's the thing. You gotta keep reminding yourself, because once you start comparing yourself and realizing, well, like, this person's doing this and this person's doing that, it will just overwhelm you, and then you're just gonna spiral. Like, really, you just gotta stay on your own path and do what you do and commit to it 100%, and keep on working on you to better yourself and better your music,
Hmm.
and you'll get to the places where you need to be. Keep on knocking on doors and creating your own lane and creating your own stuff. But you have to silence all the noise around you, and it's hard. Like, it's not an easy thing, but it's literally the only way you can get from point A to point B, because
Hmm.
everybody has the tools right now to do music. Everybody can do music and do it really well. So, you just got to focus on you and bettering yourself in what you do, and trying to reach the people that vibe with your stuff, like
Hmm.
how you vibe with my stuff.
Exactly. And like it's really just about being yourself. Like I found that in the last few years is like I think we tend to overthink a lot of this stuff about how we're going to present ourselves and our music and things like that, but it's like if you're just yourself, the right people are going to find you. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to do all this extra stuff and you're trying to be someone else, people will probably see through that and be like you're trying to, clearly you're trying to mimic someone else's career or what they're doing. It's like just be
Totally.
yourself and just be as creative as possible. Put yourself out in the best way that you know how in the moment. And like you said, it evolves, it changes over time. So just keep going. And eventually
Yeah.
it's going to all catch up to you in due time. So that's very important stuff. So you mentioned
Yeah.
your producer is out in LA, your main producer. Are there anyone is there anyone else that is like a main collaborator for you that you kind of just have a lot of good chemistry with, that you enjoy working with, that we should know about?
Yeah, I would say honestly, like all the musicians that I play music with are people to look up, like Isaiah Gibbons. I've actually known Isaiah since I was like a baby, like so young, and we met at a jazz festival on like a youth stage. He was playing drums, and I was singing my own set, and our dads kind of like put us together to make music together, and we've been making music together ever since. So I think Isaiah Gibbons is 100% somebody to check out. One of my best friends, Julia Carlucci, is an artist that's super, super dope, and I think everybody should hear her music. Mark Wilson, he plays bass for me. He's really, really incredible. There's so many artists in the city, like I could be here forever listening to people, but those are like my main people that have made an impact on my life and that, support me in everything I do musically, which is really a blessing.
Yeah. Well, feel free to send me any of their music because I'll be glad to check it out myself because I'm always down to check out, like the co-collaborators and everything. So that's pretty cool. So I remember, I think it was probably in January or February, Arts Help ran a contest about artists for social change. And I know that you ended up winning the contest. So can you talk a little bit about what that experience was like, the song that got picked, kind of just give me the breakdown of that whole, contest and everything. Because I remember you sent it to me, and I voted for you and everything, and you ended up winning.
I know.
So
I did, and thank you for voting for me. Thank you for, taking the time to do that and check it out. It was an incredible experience, like, having all of these artists have songs about social change and, like, how to make the world a better place. And just being amongst that was so inspiring. And it was all queer or, like, BIPOC artists, which was really, really nice because, like, all these marginalized communities got to have, like, their voices heard, which I thought was a really incredible thing. And I wrote a song called You Can, and I actually wrote it during COVID, and it was about my mental health, and I struggle with a lot of mental health issues. And I wrote this song to, inspire myself and motivate myself to not feel as sad anymore. And I submitted this song actually as my project, but what was different for this song that I've never done with any of my other songs is I self-produced it and I played all the instruments to it, which was really, it was a risk for me, and it was also really out of my comfort zone, to be honest. And then I also made the music video to it as well. So I kind of, final cutted my way through that music video, and I ended up, winning the first place in that showcase, in that competition. But it was just an honor to just even get that far and have my music be accepted and held within a community, and have these judges, see the potential in the music I can write and how it can change people's world was like so eye-opening for me, because I wasn't honestly going to apply for this showcase, and it was due to like imposter syndrome and not feeling like I fit or all of these reasons. And it ended up ending like that, and it kind of just gave me that belief that I can do this. I wrote a song called You Can, but I can do this in the end, and anything I put my mind to. You gotta knock on a million doors, but you're gonna get some yeses, and I'm realizing that more and more, especially throughout this past year. Like, you just have to keep asking, you have to keep on trying, and those opportunities will come.
That's got to make it a little bit more special too. The fact that it was kind of just you involved in that whole process throughout it. It's like you're really just presenting them your true self in that moment. Like the entire art piece is all you. So like, why not just put it out there? And clearly everyone received it very well because, like you said, it ended up winning and everything. And I just thought like that whole contest and what they were doing was pretty cool. Now, was that all like Canadian based artists?
It was Canadian based.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was Canadian based.
I wasn't sure if it was or if it was like just everyone, but that's pretty cool. I wish that they would do, maybe not them, but like someone else would kind of organize something like that in the States would be pretty cool as well to see that happen. But I really thought that was cool, and if you're ever a part of anything like that in the future, obviously just send it to me. I'll
Thanks,
hit
Anthony.
that little vote. I'll hit the vote, no doubt, for you. So
thanks, Anthony.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
So, I assume you have a lot of music coming up probably very soon. Is there anything you can reveal about what we can expect maybe later this summer, maybe in the fall? Anything you can reveal? Obviously, you don't want to give everything away right now, but what can we expect?
I have music coming. I have music coming really, really soon. It's been submitted to distribution. That's like my little teaser. It's that soon. And it's going to be like a mixture of, stuff that I've released in the past, but showing a different side of me, I would say, as well. And I would say, like, more on the side of, Unfold Me or Inside or Just Fine is probably the things that are going to come out. But yeah, just like different lyrical concepts, I guess. But I'm excited. It's been a while. It's weird. It's kind of like as musicians, you like hibernate during the winter, and then spring and summer comes out, and you're just like releasing music again. But yeah, I'm excited for these projects to come out, and I'm just kind of in release mode right now. And because of the pandemic, I'm like making my videos right now on my own. Things just slowly started opening up in Canada on Friday, so it'll be soon easier to like create things with people again, because it's been like really DIY for the past year.
Yeah.
And I've done the most I can, like on my past artworks from last year. Like me and my partner took the pictures on like a field with like sheets of fabric from a craft store, and my brother like edited it, or for my music video, we shot all my music videos in one day with like minimal people. For You Can, I use stock videos to like make my video, and I did it all at home, so it's nice that things are going to be able to happen at a regular collaboration way again, I would say.
Yeah. I'm glad we had all this technology in the last year to be able to just keep creating, because it's like, if we didn't, I don't know what we would have done. We would have just been like stuck. You know what I mean?
We lost our minds.
Oh my goodness. Like, I just remember, especially in like April and May last year, I just had to like figure out new ways to kind of do things. And that was around the time when I started the podcast and everything. And it was like, you just got to stay creative. You know what I mean? Like, we're creatures of habit, where it's just like, you have to find a way, even if all these other ways that are taken away from you, you just got to find a new way. So
yeah,
that's definitely something that I think a lot of us have learned in the last year for sure. So if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself any advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
10 years ago. I would say to like trust my gut feeling more, and I would say to speak up and not be as afraid to voice my opinions, because I think it took me I wouldn't say too long, like everything happens in its own time, but I wish I learned that earlier, to just like speak up more for myself. But I think that's what I would tell people, just like stick to your intuition and stick to your gut feeling, like if something's telling you something, and just like voice your opinions, because then you'll always regret if you didn't do it.
So 10 years from now then, where do you envision yourself in your career and in your life?
Yeah, I want to be, touring and being able to financially sustain myself off music, and not have to do like a million hodgepodge musical things to do that. That would be my goal, just doing my original music full time, touring, having an audience that comes out to my shows, and having music that I'm continuously releasing. And I'm seeing the growth, especially with my music right now, in terms of like people are paying attention to it and listening to it and supporting it, which I'm so, so, so grateful for. And I just hope that continues, and that it just keeps on growing. That would be my main goal and my main wish, for sure.
Do you have any final words of wisdom for the listeners today?
Yeah, I would say be gentle with yourself. I feel like in terms of like everything that's going on in the world, and especially in the music world, it's so easy to be hung up and get so angry with yourself for X, Y, and Z. Like, why am I not like this? Why can't I do this? Why is my life like this? And so many like whys, and self-hate, and just like putting so much pressure on yourself, especially as artists. Like, artists put so much pressure on yourself. But be gentle with yourself. We're living in such a different world right now, especially with like technology, I would say. And it gets to people, and be okay that you're on the path that you are at right now, and when you are ready to get there, the tools are there for you to have, and there are people around you, that can help support you do that. And not everybody has those resources, but there are resources for people, to get some support that they need to keep going. But just be gentle with yourself. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, I would say, would be my main thing. And then when it's the time, it will be the time.
Divine timing, that's something we all got to learn for sure.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. So, Meagan, that's all I have for you today. Pretty shorter episode compared to what we usually do, but I really appreciate you for taking the time today to be on the show, and I wish you the best of luck. Keep making great music, keep having a message to the music that you're making and everything, and being creative, because I just really enjoy seeing you put out content, and hopefully we can do like a part 2 very soon of the podcast.
I'd love that. I'm always down.
Thanks everyone for listening today. That was episode number 58. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds and support. And thank you very much for listening. We'll see you then.